So, last year, I finally had the chance to meet up in person with a group of online friends I had grown super close with. These were not just any online acquaintances. We bonded over the most peculiar and niche jobs, and for months, we had been FaceTiming on a daily basis. Every conversation seemed to bring us closer, each video call a thread, weaving a more profound connection. Among them was a girl, let's call her G, who had always radiated such positive energy that I never imagined there could be any weird vibes to worry about. G was super fun, incredibly chill, and honestly seemed like someone I could envision being close friends with for a very long time. Some members of our group had already met each other since they lived closer. I often watched their shared posts with a touch of envy, wishing to be a part of that joy in person. Finally, the opportunity arose to turn that wish into reality. We planned an entire week-long trip together, an event we all anticipated with a kind of excited eagerness reserved for long-awaited dreams. To us, it sounded like heaven on earth. Excitement was through the roof. We talked about the places we would visit, the experiences we would collect, and the memories we would create. Our conversations were filled with potential mini-adventures, like exploring unique local attractions, trying new restaurants, and perhaps a little bit of partying. The very idea of finally being able to hug and laugh in person with these friends made my heart race with anticipation. We meticulously organized everything: the accommodation, travel details, and even an itinerary full of activities everyone seemed eager to partake in. It seemed like the perfect plan. We couldn't wait to transform pixels on screens into much more tangible friendships. Meeting in person promised to be an experience that would solidify our bonds. The expectations were high, and everything felt as if all the stars had aligned perfectly for us. The group messaging threads were packed with humor-laden posts, travel prep tips, and even some outfit planning for different days and activities. In all these exchanges, G's messages were full of enthusiasm too. It was impossible to pick up any warning signals from the way she communicated. Her excitement matched ours. It felt like she was on the same page, and there was no hint of what was to come. This meetup trip wasn't just about leisure. It was about celebrating our friendship, strengthening our connection, and ultimately, creating sweet, cherished memories. The stage was set for what appeared to be a memorable, joyous occasion. Even though we had our peculiar jobs to thank for connecting us in the first place, we had stepped beyond professional acquaintanceship. We were not just friends looking forward to an enjoyable trip, we were a patchwork quilted family about to step into a shared adventure of a lifetime. In the pre-trip haze of excitement and plans, little did we know what the reality of this trip would bring. But in that moment, it truly sounded like a dream. From the moment our journey started, it became evident that this was not going to be the dream vacation we had all anticipated. Right from day one, G decided that the universe was going to revolve solely around her. It was puzzling and, quite frankly, disappointing to see how different she was in person compared to how she appeared online. G's presence was like an unscheduled thunderstorm on what was supposed to be a sunny day. She had perspectives and opinions on everything, and somehow, those opinions were always centered around her convenience or discomfort. We tried visiting a quaint little coffee shop that everyone seemed interested in, but G scoffed at the idea, complaining about how coffee was overrated and suggesting a more luxurious cafe she preferred. Her whims seemed to be never-ending. When faced with any plan that wasn't her idea, she transformed into a walking cloud of negativity. Worse yet, G never offered to chip in financially for anything. It was as if her pockets were sewn shut. With the excuse of being broke, she consistently sidestepped any opportunity to pay her part of the expenses. The burden of supporting her fell on one of our friends, who generously covered her costs, perhaps out of hope that the trip would get better and that G would eventually warm up to the group's plans. Day trips, meals, and even fun little souvenirs all seemed to pass by with G dodging responsibility. It was becoming clear that she had no intention of contributing either monetarily or emotionally. Her expectation, it seemed, was to drift through the experience without a sense of fairness or gratitude. Even when it came to helping out with minor things, like setting the table or helping with basic chores around our rented accommodation, G would sigh dramatically and find an excuse to slip away. It was as if she viewed basic contributions as beneath her. Any proposal to do something interesting and fun was nil by her unwillingness. If it didn't align perfectly with what she imagined, we were met with loaded silences or a dismissive retort about how the suggested activity didn't seem worth her time. The notion of fun appeared to be contingent on whether or not things were done her way. As the days progressed, we all noticed ourselves walking on eggshells, nervous to suggest anything too joyful or vibrant for fear that it would invite another wave of G's discontent. Everyone tried their best to accommodate her ever-shifting demands, not wanting to stir further drama, but the cracks in the group's camaraderie were starting to show. Nobody wanted to outright confront her pessimism yet, in the hope she might realize on her own how much she was bringing everything down. but frustration simmered beneath the surface, building quietly like steam in a pressure cooker. Her contagiously negative aura threatened to overshadow the beautiful moments. The masks of patience our friends wore began to feel heavy and unsustainable, hinting at an inevitable tipping point where diplomacy would fail against this rising tide of disconnectedness. Then came the final night, the Two Hot Takes tour show, an event that me and another friend were particularly excited about. After all, we had been huge fans of the hosts for years, and this was a highlight we had both been eagerly anticipating since we marked the date on our calendar. Standing in line, a buzz of excitement swirled around us. The atmosphere felt electric with everyone chatting, laughing, and sharing in the joy of the moment. It was more than just a show for us. It was a celebration of our shared interests and the bond we had formed. When the moment came to meet the hosts, it was as thrilling as we had imagined. The hosts were personable and utterly charming, and we couldn't help but bounce with enthusiasm. It was like a dream, sharing space with individuals who had inspired us for so long and getting to express that gratitude face to face. Yet, as we reveled in this experience, there was G, standing off to the side, a stark contrast against the vibrant tapestry of colors and life around her. It was palpable. Her lack of engagement was like a dull shadow creeping around the edges of what should have been glowing memories. Despite being right there with us, G acted as if she were in a world of her own, detached and disinterested. Her energy was like a cool wind cutting through the warmth, and it couldn't have been more clear. She wanted no part in sharing this joy. She stood there, stiff and nonchalant, like a passenger without a map on a journey, meant to unite us in shared happiness. Her aloofness was not lost on anyone. It was something we all felt keenly. It was becoming increasingly evident that no cheerful moment or shared connection could reach her. It was genuinely disheartening to see a friend, someone we had hoped would enrich our collective experience, become the factor that tainted the much-anticipated pinnacle of our trip. Despite our efforts to include her, to bring her into the fold of laughter and joy, she remained resolutely sealed within her indifferent cocoon, leaving us wonder why she had even agreed to come along in the first place, if not to share in our happiness. And then the moment turned sour with an unexpected revelation. We discovered G had been trash-talking us the entire time, quite literally right beside us. One of our friends happened to catch her mid-rant, whispering her grievances into her phone as if we were invisible. In a bid to defuse the rapidly escalating situation, the friend who'd been funding G's enjoyment all week tried to address the issue with grace. She shot G a text, gently suggesting they both head back to their accommodation so that the rest could enjoy the night in peace. But silence followed. Faced with no response, the same friend approached G directly, her demeanor calm yet concerned, hoping to resolve the issue face-to-face without further drama. Yet instead of accepting this act of kindness, G exploded. She unleashed a tirade, her voice cutting through the room as she spat insults and called the kind-hearted friend a series of nasty names, generating a public scene that was both shocking and mortifying. It felt like being swept into the climactic chaos of a teenage drama, with G storming out in exaggerated theatrics, ensuring all eyes were on her as she vanished into the night. After the chaos of that night, once the dust settled, I came to a clear decision. My mind whirled with emotions, but one sentiment was unequivocal. I could no longer maintain a friendship with someone who had displayed such disrespect and inconsiderate behavior. The emotional toll was too high, and frankly, I deserved more from a friend. When I got home, I reached out to G via a direct message. It was a challenging task, but I felt it was necessary. I conveyed my decision firmly yet thoughtfully, explaining that her actions throughout our trip, and especially her outburst at the show, proved that we were simply not compatible as friends anymore. I told her that her behavior had crossed a line that I could not overlook, and this wasn't something we could just pretend never happened. Breaking ties like that was not easy and definitely left a bitter note, but I needed to look out for my own peace of mind. So Reddit, with all the recounting of these events, I ask, am I the a-hole for cutting the cord on this friendship after all that transpired?